Hello, everyone, and welcome to NEC TV's Game of the Week. Tonight from the Augusta Civic Center, it's Western Maine final time for the girls as the #1 seeded York Wildcats at 19-1 are playing the #2 seeded and defending regional champ Marshwood Hawks at 18-2. Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Nelson, along with Bob Gould. A moment we have all been waiting for. And really, Bob, when people looked at this tournament setup a week ago, everyone looked and said, it's going to be York Marshwood in the final, and that's what we've got.
Absolutely. In fact, you went so far as to pick both of the boys and girls finals and got them both right. And let's hope that you're right on who wins both of those, because I think you picked York in both instances. York Marshwood come in #1 and 2 seed, and I think in a year when maybe the league as a whole was down a little bit, these two teams certainly stayed right up there where they have been in the past, right up among the elite, and they both have played exceptionally well all season long, and they're right here where they belong in the final.
York has suffered only one loss during the year. That was to Scarborough in the second half of the season. For Marshwood, they only lost 2 games, both to York. Early in the season, Bob, second game of the season, York really did a number on Marshwood, 66-34. The Hawks came back in the second game, played much better, and only lost by 10, 65-55.
Well, we did that first game right here on NEC TV, and frankly, Marshwood didn't look very good. York took it to them early. They had a lead after one of 20-3. The press just totally annihilated Marshwood. They were without their center, Cindy Dale, but I don't think on that game, whether they had Cindy Dale or not, would have made a difference. The big difference is Marshwood has really worked very hard. They've come together as a team. They've got Cindy Dale back, and they're playing very good basketball right now under the helm of Mike Lewis. The York Wildcats have been strong all year. They had their weakness, injury bug there a little bit when Briggs went down, and then they lost a little. But now they're back healthy, and they're probably playing their best basketball of the year, too. Should be a good ball game.
Really, you talk about York Marshwood, Bob, and I really feel you talk about programs and you talk about coaches. First, for Marshwood, Mike Lewis, 56-6 through the last 3 years. I mean, he lost Sue Musraw and Katrina Rainey off last year's regional championship team. They still managed to finish #2. He's done a great job with his team.
Absolutely. You know, I've talked earlier this year, I think on the Spotlight show, and I mentioned that Rick Clark, I thought, was probably the premier coach in all of the girls basketball in the state. I think maybe overshadowed a little bit Mike Lewis. He's done an excellent job year in and year out. He's done a great job, and I think this year may have been his greatest coaching year. He's lost a lot of great players from a year ago, came back this year, brought a unit that at the beginning of the year, as I said, really weren't that good, and now he's going to play some great basketball. No superstars on this team, but the tribute goes to Mike Lewis. He's done an excellent job, and he's an excellent coach.
York, really, at the beginning of the season, Bob, were preseason favorites to be one of the top 2 teams in Western Maine Class B, but even with that, there's pressure on a team to perform. Rick Clark got the Wildcats to perform. This is the 6th time in his 10 years as coach he's made it to the Western Final. That's quite a tribute.
That's right. And a lot of people think it's easy to coach a team that comes in as a favorite. It's not so easy because you got a lot of kids that are very talented. A lot of times you don't have enough basketballs to dish around. But this team is very unselfish, and they play very well together. Extremely good chemistry on the team, and you have to attribute a lot of that and their success to Rick Clark because he does a nice job of bringing the kids together.
Really, the key in this game, Bob, as it's been in most of the games for the Wildcats, certainly in the 2 games against Marshwood earlier in the year, the name of the game is pressure.
Absolutely. Their pressure is what's done it all year long. It did it again against Marshwood in both ball games. Tonight, Marshwood is going to have to recognize, and this is where you give Mike Lewis, where it's going to be a lot of his job tonight. They need to recognize what defense is being thrown out there, and they need to be able to make adjustments to it. York uses a lot of different defensive pressure, and it's almost too much to ask the kids to try to recognize it on the court because there's so much going on in their minds. They need to have their coach who's recognizing what's going on there and being able to make that adjustment. And again, they've got one of the best coaches, and I expect it to be a good ball game. Whenever you get 2 coaches like this together playing in a chess match, it's going to be a good ball game.
Let's meet tonight's starting lineup for the Wildcats and also listen to a conversation I had with Rick Clark earlier in the week about his win over Kennebunk in the semifinals and tonight's game. The York Wildcat girls defeated the Kennebunk Rams 60-36 in the semifinals, and today, for the 6th time in 10 years, they will play in the Western Maine Final, this time against #2 seed Marshwood. Let's meet tonight's starting lineup. Starting at point guard for the Wildcats is senior Kristen Briggs, who scored 18 points in the tournament and had 10 big steals against the Rams in the semifinals. At the other guard position is junior Jonna Weaver, who scored 13 points in the 2 tournament games. At one of the forward spots is sophomore Andrea Little, who has been York's leading scorer through the first 2 games, averaging 13.5 points a game. At the other forward position is senior Laura Coughlin, who continues the balanced scoring for the Wildcats. She's scored 16 points in the 2 tournament wins. And starting at center tonight for the Wildcats is sophomore Joanna Brown, who has contributed 18 points in the tournament. And coming off the bench through the first 2 games has been sophomore Jessica Martell, who has done a good job in scoring 15 points in the wins. Also coming off the bench and contributing has been junior Kathleen Byrne, who scored 4 points against Kennebunk. And the head coach of the Wildcats in his 10th year and coaching in his 6th Western Maine final is Rick Clark. I talked to him about the win over Kennebunk and tonight's game against Marshwood. Rick, congratulations.
Thank you.
The victory over Kennebunk, an impressive 160-36. We had mentioned in the pregame, Bob and I did, that the first quarter could be key in that game, and of course the 2 meetings with them prior to that were big first quarters for you. But in this game, it seemed like the press, which had taken them out of the game early on, took a little bit longer to kick in this game. But still, I think that the game came down to the fact that they couldn't handle your pressure.
I think that's true. One of the reasons it took a little longer is we run that press most of the time off a scored basket. And we didn't score right off the bat. They scored a couple of baskets, got a foul shot before we started to score, and I think it took, for that reason, it took a while to set it up.
Yeah, it really did seem like you accomplished the goals that you had set out to. I know you mentioned to us that weak side rebounding was going to be a key factor in that game, and it seemed like the girls really came through.
They did. Yep. I'm very pleased with the weak side rebounding after the first 2 or 3 minutes. Joanna Brown and Andrea Little and Laura Coughlin in particular, the 3 of them did a good job on that. So.
Yeah. You get Marshwood for the 3rd time here in the Western Maine final. You've beaten them twice during the season. The first time they didn't have Cindy Dale. The second time you didn't have Andrea Little. The first game we televised here, and quite frankly, in the first game, Marshwood didn't look too good, and that maybe because you just looked so good in that game, and the second one was a little bit closer. What was the difference between the 2 games in your eyes?
The first difference was Marshwood was coming off a 3-game stretch, 3 games in 4 days. They didn't have Dale. They hadn't adjusted very well without her yet, and we caught them quick, and they really took them out of the game. They really didn't get in sync the whole game. The second game, of course, Dale's been back for a while. They've been playing real well, and we're coming off a 5 games in 7-day stretch, which is tough, without Andrea Little. And I think we were, you know, maybe a little logy at points, but overall the intensity was still there, and I think as time wore on, that started to come through. It was a good game. I mean, down until the last 4 or 5 minutes, it was, you know, they came back at us and made it a tight one.
Will we see anything different on Friday night now that both teams are at full strength?
I don't think there'll be anything planned to be different, but, you know, this type of a game, at some point, something may happen that either side has to adjust to, and it may be something that is a key part of the game. You know, it's hard to tell. But I don't imagine he's making many changes at this point, and we certainly aren't changing anything from what we've done all season long. So.
Yeah. Do you expect to see the man-to-man defense again? I know they're one of the few teams that have run man-to-man for you. I guess 7 out of the 8 quarters you mentioned they played man-to-man.
I think we'll see a lot of that in the beginning, and if it's effective for him, he'll stay with it. But at some point, as he did in the last game, he may have to try to change a little bit and push a zone in there and try to you know, tie up people underneath and push the guards out a little bit. He tried that for a little while the last game. So.
Again, as you look at the game, does it come down to pressure once again, keeping them from getting the ball up court and getting it underneath?
Well, I'd like to think that the pressure is going to make a difference again, and it very well may, but I think I'm pretty confident with our girls in handling the half-court offense as well. Now that Andrea's back full tilt, we have 3 people we can go to underneath. They can all pop out and take outside shots if they have to. And with Martell in the rotation with the other 2 guards, we really have some pretty good depth there, too. So I think whatever way it turns out, you know, if we do our thing, it should be a good game. Hopefully we'll be on top.
Okay, we wish you luck, Rick.
Thank you.
Well, Bob, this ought to be a classic Western Maine final. One more thing very quickly, the rebounding will be a factor.
Absolutely. We talked to Mike Lewis, and in the first 2 games, Joanna Brown has really done a number on him, 16 and 14 points in the 2 games, and she's done a lot of it off from the offensive glass, and that's where York has done it all year long. They need to do something to shut him down tonight, and I think Mike Lewis has a surprise for Rick Clark and the York Wildcats coming in here. Should be a good one. We'll have the opening tap-off to the Western Maine Final for the girls, as it's the #1 Wildcats and the #2 Hawks. Bob and I will return with the opening tap in just a moment.
come home for...
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Civic Center in Augusta for tonight's Western Maine final between York and Marshwood. I'm Eric Nelson, along with Bob Gould, high above courtside. Steve Twombly on camera. Here's tonight's starting lineups.
For the Marshwood Hawks, number 2 seeded, 16-2 on the season. At the guard slots, number 11, Diana Devlin, and also at the guard, number 15, Christine Fontaine. At the forwards, number 14, Lynn Eisner, and at the other forward, number 21, Laurie Hanscom. In the center, for the Marshwood Hawks, number 22, Cindy Dale. For the number 1 seeded in the 17-1 York Wildcats, at the guard, Jonna Weaver, number 21 and number 23, Kristen Briggs. At the forwards, number 20, Andrea Little, and number 25, Laura Coughlin. And at the center, number 32, Joanna Brown.
And Joanna Brown will be jumping against Cindy Dale to get things underway. The Hawks are in purple, the Wildcats are in white, and the tap is quickly controlled by Marshwood. And then a quick steal by Andrea Little. 2-on-1, the bounce pass to Kristen Briggs. Missed the layup. Little follows, and we have a first 2 points.
Well, you see the Wildcats already crashing the boards and running the floor. Man-to-man pressure by the Wildcats.
Fontaine dribbling past Weaver. It will stay Marshwood ball. York got here by beating Mountain Valley 54-32 and beating Kennebunk in the semis 60-36. Bob mentioned 17-1 regular season, 2 more wins makes them 19-1 coming into this game.
Little one-on-one isolation.
Eisner working on Coughlin, and we get the game's first foul against Laura Coughlin. The Hawks got here by eliminated number 7 Lake Region 58-42, then beating Scarborough in the semis in one of the best games they've played all year, Bob, 54-33.
You saw in that first play that Eisner tried to isolate Coughlin one-on-one, drew the foul.
Devlin penetrating, high off the glass, gets it back, fights, dishes underneath, shot is blocked from Hanscom. And the Wildcats break it up. Here's Kristen Briggs down the right side. She stops and hits the jumper.
Well, Kristen gets off to a good start, especially from the outside. That just opens up all of her game. Her penetration ability to take it to the hoop and also be able to penetrate and dish off. Get man-to-man full court pressure.
Excuse me, Bob. 4-0 York. We've played 1 minute 15 seconds. Fontaine has the range, a little strong. Comes down to Briggs. She again will press it.
Fontaine, the big 3, he's got the first 5 points in the last game against Scarborough. Got him off to a great start, 5-0. Marshwood zone. And that's something that, there's the surprise.
Laura Coughlin from the baseline.
That's the surprise that we talked about. Marshwood is a man-to-man team. They're coming out of his zone, and the primary reason is to keep Joanna Brown off the boards. They don't want to allow York's second shot.
Hanscom on Brown. Draws the foul.
Well, York off to a real nice start here, but one thing Marshwood has been able to do on a couple of instances is take the ball strong to the hoop and draw the foul.
First foul on Joanna Brown, the second foul on the team. So 6:02 left in the quarter. Diana Devlin will put the ball in play under the Marshwood basket. A good move by Fontaine. It would be York ball. Marshwood, the defending regional champs, lost in the state game last year to Holton, 44-37.
Right now, York getting the bounces.
Briggs short on the 3. Rebound to Weaver. And a Marshwood foul going against Lynn Eisner.
And again, York just dominating on the board action. That time, Kristen Briggs takes a shot outside, gets a long rebound, and there's York right for the rebound.
Briggs again rolls in and out.
And again,
Brown
York
the
for the rebound. That's right.
Devlin with the near steal. Now it's Weaver with the basketball. Briggs gives up the shot to Coughlin, and she traveled. The basket will not count.
Yeah, took an extra step.
5:23 left in the quarter, 6-0 York.
York staying with the man-to-man pressure.
Defense has been the key for this York team during the playoffs, Bob. 6 out of the 8 quarters, they've held the team in single digits.
Well, they're a very, very strong defensive team. They work very well together. And that's what you need to do, of course, when defense is help and recovery. If you're going to overplay your play, you're going to have somebody that's willing to pick them up. And this team works extremely well together, like there.
Devlin and the foul on Weaver. She made a really nice move on Kristen Briggs.
Yes, she did. And she beat Briggs. She's very quick. But again, Brown was there, but that time Brown didn't try to move her feet to play defense, and as a result, picked up the blocking foul.
Third team foul against York, and it's going to send Diana Devlin to the free throw line.
And Diana Devlin, 68% free throw shooter on the team. Although this team is not a team of superstars, if there's one key player on this team, it is Diana Devlin. She leads #1 in assists, #1 in points, one of the leading free throw shooters, and #1 in steals.
She missed the second free throw, so Marshwood's on the board at 6-1, and York comes up with a loose ball. Devlin's played well against York in the 2 games. She's averaged 11 points. Turnover. Here's Devlin. Along the right side, spins into the paint and draws the foul. And they're taking the ball to York.
Absolutely. Nice move by Diana Devlin. She's just become so much of a better player in the last couple of years. And the big thing is she's so much more under control. She always worked hard, but in the past sometimes when she was young, she would try to sometimes do things that, you know, really were out of her control. She'd get herself out of control, and she had nowhere to go with the ball. But now she really has become a real accomplished point guard and a real leader on this team.
Foul on Briggs, her first, team's 4th. Devlin's played well in the tournament, 5 points against Lake Region and 12 against Scarborough. And she makes again 1 of 2 to cut the lead to 6-2.
Like Kristen Briggs, she's a player that usually the offense will go in and through her.
There's the York turnover. So again, you know, they're leading 6-2, but a slow start like they had against Kennebunk.
Well, actually, I was saying they're off to a pretty good start, 6-0, but actually, that was early. The first couple minutes of the game, I thought they had a good start. In the last couple of minutes, they've really
mixed review through the first 4 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah. We've seen kind of the best and worst, I think. They continue to work hard on the boards, though, and their defensive pressure with it. That's what's going to happen is when they pick up fouls at the other end and their defense doesn't create.
Nice dish over to Dale. She missed the shot. It's rebounded by Coughlin.
But when their defense isn't able to do the job down that on one end, then their offense doesn't seem to get in the flow. So their defense dictates how their offense is going to do.
3:45 left in the first quarter. Laura Coughlin, the 15-foot jumper.
Laura Coughlin.
8-2 York. Here's the Wildcat pressure. Fontaine. And swing it around to Devlin.
Surprised that Diana hasn't tried to bring the ball down low.
Eisner inside for 2.
Surprised Diana hasn't tried to bring the ball down, but she's taking Kristen Briggs away from the pressure. And that was a nice job of getting the ball down low that time by Devlin.
8-4 York.
Got the lob over the defense. Marshwood giving York the outside shot.
Briggs off the back of the rim. Loose ball comes to Eisner. And Devlin tried to go to Fontaine and lost control. So York will bring it back. Once again, Briggs, the bounce pass to Andrea Little. She goes in the paint, steps back and hits it.
Well, the Wildcats shooting very well right now. I'm sure Mike Lewis was hoping that they wouldn't come out as strong as they have. If they shoot well against his zone, it makes it very difficult because the key is obviously that they want them to take that one shot, one and done. They want to be able to do a good job in rebounds. And they've done a pretty good job of keeping them off the offensive boards the last 2 or 3 times down. But when you hit the shot, there's not going to be any rebounds.
York leads by 6.
Brown still with control. Now Marshwood playing the man-to-man. Devlin on Briggs. Fontaine will guard Weaver. Being very patient on offense as we travel down to the 2-minute mark.
Run your 1-3-1 offense.
Briggs, the penetration. Nice dish to Coughlin. Missed the shot. Rebounded by Hanscom.
As I mentioned, Marshwood doing a much better job on the boards. But they're still having trouble with the turnovers.
Weaver with the loose ball and reaching, traveling violation.
Yeah, they got Tristan Briggs for a little shuffle of the feet. Actually, Marshwood with 4 turnovers, but York also with 4 turnovers.
Lob pass up ahead. Hanscom draws the foul on Andrea Little.
So York getting themselves a little bit of foul trouble here, not on individuals so much as team fouls. They're 5 team fouls already.
And they've managed to have each starter commit one of the fouls.
Number 20,
And they did that early against Mountain Valley also.
I think that's kind of to mention that's kind of a good luck charm, I guess.
They distribute the fouls well.
Laurie Hanscom having a great tournament of a career, of a lifetime. She's a 58% free throw shooter and averaging 8 points during the regular season, but great tournament, much better tournament. She's averaging 17 points a game here in a tournament. So she's way over her season average.
Those are her first 2 of the night. Cuts the lead to 4, 10-6 with 1:30 remaining in the first quarter of action. From the Civic Center in Augusta, Western Maine final for the girls in Class B. York is led from the opening tap. Weaver working on Fontaine, missed the layup. Joanna Brown, the offensive rebound, and she picks up the foul.
Joanna Brown, we've mentioned her all year long. She works very, very hard on those boards, and she's got a tough match inside there, going up against Sunny Deal, who's equally tough on the boards. At the free throw line, Joanna Brown shooting. She is a 61% free throw shooter on the season.
Played extremely well against Marshwood in the 2 games during the regular season, Bob. Averaged 15 a game and has averaged 9 here in the tournament.
And I think she'd like to forget. I bet she's not short on this one.
I bet too. Stop the front of the rim. Misses both, and Marshwood has a chance to cut the lead to 2.
We had an opportunity to go down and do a little shooting here. We got here a little early today, and I'll tell you, standing there at that free throw line, it looks like it's a layup.
Fontaine, a long jumper.
The depth reception is incredible down there, and it takes some getting used to it, that free throw line.
It's not like a gym where you've got a wall 6 feet behind the basket. Coughlin misses the jumper. Marshwood ball, so with 42 seconds left in the quarter, the Hawks, Bob, have outscored York 6-2 and now only trail it by a bucket.
Well, again, York is settling a couple times now, settled for that one outside shot there, and Marshwood doing a good job. Now they turn it around.
The official pointed, he claimed he pointed in the wrong direction. Coughlin all alone, and a strong rebound by Cindy Dale.
And Marshwood has done a very nice job on the boards.
30 seconds left in the first quarter. Knocked away by Joanna Brown.
I think you want Cindy Dale looking for her offense in that situation. She's about 5 feet from the hoop.
That'd have been a real tough pass. She had 2 defenders to go through.
She had a much better shot than the person she was passing it to did.
Fontaine, you've got to watch her outside. She's deadly from that near the 3-point arc. And Marshwood turns the ball over. So the Wildcats will have it with 19 seconds left.
A lot of turnovers, but a lot of jitters, of course. Both of these teams playing for the Western Maine Championship and a right to go to the state championship. So a lot on the line here this evening.
12 seconds remaining in the quarter. Down to 8. Briggs driving, gets around Dale, dumps to Coughlin, short. 2 seconds left. And the quarter will end as the buzzer's working at the Augusta Civic Center for the Western Maine final. And a score after 1 quarter. It's the York Wildcats 8, the York Wildcats 10, the Marshwood Hawks 8.
Gazelle can
for the Marshwood Hawks. And the gentleman on the right, his name is Mike Little. And if that name sounds familiar, folks, you may recognize it. The same name as Andrea Little. That is her father. And he, of course, she the sophomore forward for the York Wildcats. And today she's playing against her dad, who is the assistant coach at Marshwood. Who is he rooting for?
Interesting position to be in for Mr. Mike Little is Jessica Martell, number 12, seeing her first action for the Wildcats. She's a 5'6" sophomore. She'll start the second quarter, be in the backcourt as York goes small here with 3 guards. And Laura Coughlin, this is the first shot of the quarter. And a jump ball is to go to Marshwood.
One thing about Mike Little is he's almost in a no-lose situation.
Really? Come to think about it, you're right.
He probably hopes his daughter scores 20 points and they lose by 1.
A little different pressure here by York.
Going zone, you're right, Eric. Nice job, you recognize it.
And the reach-in foul on Jessica Martell. That is 6 team fouls against the Wildcats. There are just 2 against the Hawks.
And again, this is where the coach Lewis has to recognize this, and the Hawks have to recognize it. You can't dribble through his zone. You got to pass, and they did try to dribble through it, but that time they did pick up the foul.
Devlin having trouble getting it in. And Fontaine keeps it alive as we see Katie Bryant, number 13, a 5'6" senior, also starting the second quarter. So both teams have gone to 1 substitute here in the game, and a traveling violation. This is the 3rd time, Bob, in 4 years these 2 teams have met in the tournament, and it's been all York.
That's right, because the 1 year that Marshwood won the state championship, they didn't have to go through York.
That's right. York beat Marshwood in 89 and 90. John O'Weaver, no basket. And the foul on Marshwood. In 1989, York beat number 1 seed Marshwood in the semifinals by 10. And then York beat Marshwood in the quarters when York was 8 and Marshwood was 1. They beat him by 2.
Got a foul on Katie Bryant. I think we're going to get another one. Cindy Dale, I believe.
A couple of quick team fouls, but as Mike Lewis mentioned to us before the game, Bob, Marshwood beat York twice during last season, and that's all behind him.
He said that whole thing with York and Marshwood, as far as I'm concerned, Marshwood can't beat York or anything else. After last year, that's all gone away, and we talked to him about this game and the fact that it is a regional, Western Maine regional game, but it's also York and Marshwood, you know?
As much as it is the Western Final,
That's right. And in a way, we're going to ask him if it takes maybe the pressure off the fact that it is a Western Maine regional, that it's something that you're so familiar with, that it's just like, hey, we're just playing York again, you know, and the rivalry is almost bigger or as big as the fact that where you are playing them. I mean, if these 2 played out in the Tar parking lot during the summer down at the beach there, I think it would still be York and Marshwood. It'd still be who the team wants to win, no matter what. They were playing for whatever.
Cindy Dale at the line for 1 and 1. Her first points of the game makes it a 1-point York lead. The foul is on Laura Coughlin, her second and the team's 7th. So at the 7:02 mark, Marshwood reaches the bonus as Joanna Brown comes in and Dale ties the game.
The key to this point has been that Marshwood has been able to control the defensive boards. They have given New York 1 shot and that's it, but now they're going man-to-man pressure, so they're changing it up. See if York can get it down low.
And another foul against the Wildcats.
And that wasn't a good shot that time by Joanna Brown. She forced that shot. They got to get in their offensive flow with the man-to-man.
Foul is on number 20.
Lori Hanscom in for Katie Bryant as Lynn Eisner will head to the free throw line.
1 and 1, number 14, Lynn Eisner.
Second foul on Andrea Little. Eisner, 44% free throw shooter. He's had a tough tournament, or not actually, had a tough time against York, only 4 points in their 2 games, but he's averaged 10 points a game in the tournament.
Right, because actually during the year she only averaged 6.8, so she's had it pretty good. She's a second leading rebounder on this team. She's called to do a lot of rebounding, averaging 6 rebounds a game. And 5'11", senior. And done a nice job on the boards here this evening, her and Cindy Dale.
That is Marshwood's first lead. They lead at 12-10. They've scored the last 8 points in this game to assume the lead.
See if you can get a good one off here.
Martell off the backboard for 2.
Long dry spell for the Wildcats. Jessica Martell is spark plug in that first game. Come in and gets a big basket for the Wildcats.
Our second tie, this time at 12. Hands from the baseball pass to Dale. And Marshwood could not hold on to it.
No, but they had the right idea. What did we mention? We mentioned you got to get the ball up the court. You can't pass it back, and that was an excellent job of turning and looking up court. She had 2 people open, not one. Just taking a little bit more time, maybe got a little more lob on the ball. They would have been able to control it. Tough pass to handle.
6 minutes remaining in the first half. We're not at a 12. Briggs lobbing to Joanna Brown for 2.
Nice job, Joanna Brown being fronted down low and a nice pass inside. That's where the man-to-man comes in. It's hard to get weak side help.
And Marshwood breaks the pressure well.
They've handled the pressure really very well. They've had some unforced turnovers by themselves.
Eisner, and that is 3 fouls on Andrea Little.
Well, fouls are hurting the Wildcats right now.
Foul is on number 20, Andrea Little.
And Rick Clark will summon Laura Coughlin into the game, and maybe a while before we see Andrea Little again after picking up the 3rd.
Now, that was a big foul, obviously. She's a key on the offensive end. She's a key offensive player for him because she can do so much for him.
Marshwood, Bob, is 9 for 11 from the line.
And Lynn Eisner, as we said, on the year only 44%, but she drilled that one in there.
She has drilled 3 of 4 from the line. 1 point York lead, 14-13.
York, they have to be patient.
Ooh, fortunate there, Bob. Jessica Martell blocked by Cindy Dale. Up ahead to Devlin. With Briggs back, Martell commits the foul.
I think York now is starting to feel as if the officials and everybody are against them, and they've got to refocus themselves. They can't.
You could sense the frustration on
Right,
Kristen Briggs'
exactly.
part there.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. You know, as soon as the call was made, they've got to forget that stuff.
There's no foul number 2.
That's 2 fouls on Martell. There have been 9 calls against York, just 4 against Marshwood.
Diana Devlin.
Devlin with 2 points in the game is 2 for 4 from the line.
And we mentioned that Devlin is a 68% free throw shooter on the season. One of the better free throw shooters on this team.
Mentioned averaging 9.5 a game during the season. Misses the second, so we're tied at 14. Just over 5 minutes left in the half. Briggs running the show, top of the key, over to Weaver. Coughlin dumps to Brown. Martell, the offensive board and basket.
Nice follow. This time it's Brown actually getting this shot. And Tracy Martell with the rebound. A little opposite what you would expect normally. Jessica Martell, excuse me.
And Fontaine got bothered by the pressure. And Mike Lewis will go to his bench. Katie Bryant comes in, and Fontaine will go to the bench. So Western Maine final from the Augusta Civic Center. York leading by 2. Shauna Weaver missing the shot, and Cindy Dale had position on Joanna Brown. That's 2 on Brown. So it's 2 on Brown, 2 on Coughlin, 3 on Little.
Joanna Brown.
Well, big girls getting themselves in a little bit of foul trouble here. Obviously Little on the bench with 3, but right now Coughlin and Brown, the key, they got to stay out of foul trouble.
And we may see Kathleen Byrne come into this game to spell either Brown or Coughlin.
Dale, a 67% free throw shooter.
And Shauna Weaver, the big rebound. And Weaver is a good rebounder, averaging almost 6 a game. Through the hands of Martell. And we will see junior Kathleen Byrne check into the ball game. She comes in for Brown.
Well, Burns only averages 2.4 points a game, but she's solid inside. She got 4 points in that last game for him, and she won't hurt you.
Briggs, nice steal to Weaver. Missed the layup. Martell keeps it alive in the corner, and a steal. Here's Hanscom with Weaver back. She misses at the other end, and here come the Wildcats. Back and forth we go.
Quicker than I can jot down the stats.
I think the York folks looking for a foul in the corner there,
Well,
Bob.
I thought maybe there was. I thought Bryant had picked up a foul.
Briggs from the right wing. And the third foul on Laura Coughlin.
Well, they're calling him tight, and they got her right. I think Diane just got her on the arm, but they are calling him tight. I think Diana wanted to pull her hand back out of the cookie jar, and she just couldn't do it.
So Laura Coughlin will go to the bench. Rick Clark calls time with 3:47 left in the half. We'll do the same, and it is York 16, Marshwood 14.
You've seen Ken Plord at Biddeford football games for years.
Talking to, no, that's not Diane Coughlin. That's Laura Coughlin.
What year is this? Back to the Future.
I have these flashbacks every once in a while. I apologize, Diane. But, yeah, Rick Clark, I think he expected to have pretty much a battle here, and
Laura Coughlin
trying to get 6 people out there. He says, Laura, no, you got 3. We want you to sit down. Right now, foul trouble, obviously, a key, and the nice thing for York, though, they have a bench. They have a very good bench, and we're going to have to go to it right now.
Coughlin a little on the bench with 3 fouls. Kathleen Byrne, the strong rebound. Marshwood has shot a lot of free throws in this first half.
What this does, I think, offensively, takes more of York's offense away than it does their defense, Eric. Because Little and Coughlin are experienced offensive players. They really can help you getting the ball through the hole in the end. I'm watching the man-to-man pressure, you know, to see it coming.
Hanscom, the steal, has Devlin up ahead. Oh, Kristen Briggs, what a play.
Well, Briggs hustling all over the court. She always does.
Marshwood has outshot York from the free throw line 15-2 in this first half. They swing around to Devlin, long jumper off the mark. Brown tips it to Weaver. 3:05 left in the half. York leads by 2. Briggs, too far.
I'll tell you, Marshwood hasn't got many shots so this quarter. I've only got them listed for 3 shots in the first 5 minutes, though. And now it's Mike Lewis that wants a timeout, I believe. A ball game, I think that maybe the team that settles themselves down here in the final 3 minutes, they can get themselves a little under control and settle down, can get themselves a little momentum going into the half. Right now, both teams maybe playing a little bit more with too much emotion right now. You've got to play under control, otherwise those fouls are going to come into play, and that's what happens on York part, and also the turnovers. And we've had a number of turnovers. We've got 8 turnovers for the Hawks and 8 turnovers for the Wildcats. That's an awful lot of turnovers. You can give the defense a lot of credit, but I think maybe the team's maybe just trying to force things just a little bit.
3:02 left in the half. York holding on to their 2-point lead, 16-14. We've had 3 ties in this game.
Zone
Marshwood
pressure.
will have the ball.
Out of bounds.
I actually think Rick Clark, the York coach, probably welcomed that timeout as Mike Lewis called it. Shot is missed. Eisner with the loose ball. So Marshall will get a second chance to run the offense. Bryant is going to penetrate. Pass Kathleen Byrne for the basket.
Well, she kind of thought about it and then said, what the heck? It's going to be harder for me to make a pass than it is to drive to the hoop. I might as well drive to the hoop. A good, strong move.
Tied at 16. Oh, nice pass from Byrne to Brown, and she draws the foul. Excellent entry pass.
Exactly, and that's what they need to do, is to be patient. As I mentioned, they need to be patient. run their offense. Something I think York's got a little bit away from. I think they've been a little bit impatient with their offense, and it's pretty much been whatever first shot avails itself, and maybe not the best shot in the situation that they want to be shooting it.
Brown at the free throw line for a pair. Again, is short. She had a tough night at the line.
Well, she is a good free throw shooter, too, 61, but maybe that first one's still in the back of her mind.
That was the 15th foul on Marshwood and the second on Lynn Eisner. Makes the second.
You have to remember, she's only a sophomore. There's a lot of young players out here on the court.
1 point York lead. They've led by as many as 6 on 3 separate occasions. Eisner past half court to Bryant. Harassing defense by Martell. Bryant misses. Joanna Brown the rebound. See how Kristen Briggs decides to run the offense here. She'll take the 3. Rebound Eisner. She's been close. That last game, Bob, she took 2 or 3, and they were very close.
But again, nice job by the Hawks.
Devlin got it back. It goes all the way to the hoop. Missed the runner, and then commits the foul.
That's just a little bit of frustration on her part. And this has been some good pressure by York. Even though they are in some foul trouble, what they're doing now is getting their hands up straight, just standing straight up, but moving their feet, and that's the key. And that way they're not reaching and not getting themselves in any more foul trouble, but still able to apply the good defensive pressure.
It is only the 6th team foul, so it's not 1-1. It'll just be possession for York as Christine Fontaine comes in for Katie Bryant. 1:41 left in this first half of play in the Western Maine Final from the Civic Center in Augusta. First part of a York doubleheader. The boys will play Greeley in the boys' final right after this game. Fontaine the steal. And the 3rd foul on Martell.
No, I didn't see that one. Must have got it with the body on the way down, because I didn't see it, though. But
so 3 of York's top 6 players have 3 fouls.
Well, like I said, it's a good thing that York has a bench.
Yes. And Rick Clark is going to use it.
She's the best free throw shooter at 80%.
She missed, but Marshall will get the ball back.
York threw it away.
As Melanie Griffin will come in for Jessica Martell.
We've talked about York's defensive pressure. Marshwood's also all year long been one of the top defensive players teams in the league. And to this point, they've only given up 17 points.
Marshwood's only given up 75 points in this tournament. York's only given up 68. That's an average for both teams in the low 30s.
Well, defenses are what win.
Eisner looks for help to Devlin. Good defense by Griffin. They swing it around. Fontaine launches a 3. Rattles out. 1:05 left in the half. York leads 17-16.
Well, an exciting ball game. It's got the fans sitting around the edge of the seats.
Again, Byrne to Brown. Nice work by Brown. And again, we had to name that. I don't know what we could call it. She's done that numerous times during this tournament. She's in trouble, throw it off an opponent.
One thing that I've noticed, though, is Joanna Brown is really getting herself down below the basket when she's trying to shoot. I think that makes it difficult.
Briggs, Brown, another rebound. Nice move. And Eisner called for the foul.
But Joanne Brown just taking over on the boards, Eric. Dominating.
And that is the 3rd foul on Lynn Eisner and the 7th on the team. Coming up at halftime, Bob and I will have halftime statistics for you.
Well, the one thing for your, I don't know if this is maybe McMullen coming in. No, actually it's Tracy Knight, but who is 5'7", but they don't have the size. Marshwood doesn't have the size coming off the bench that a York does. They do not have the depth that a York does.
Eisner out, Tracy Knight, a 5'7" senior, number 12, in for the first time. Brown has been good on one of the free throws. And coaches the second one in. 3-point York lead, 19-16. 35 seconds left in the half. Here's Fontaine near the three-point arc.
Marshwood's done a nice job breaking the pressure, though.
Hillary Crosby is in the game, too, for the Hawks, number 20. She's a junior. Griffin doing a good job on Devlin. Here's Fontaine. Down to 15 seconds. Fontaine short on the three. Mel Griffin the rebound. Up to Briggs. 9 seconds left. Kristen Briggs, coast to coast. She wanted the foul. 4 seconds left. Hanscom's all alone. She lays it in at the buzzer. And we've got a one-point game at halftime.
Well, we've been asking for a close ball game throughout the tournament. We've been looking for a close one, an exciting one, and I think, Eric, we've got a close one that's going to take us right down to the end of this game, because with York in foul trouble and everything else, I fully expect this is a game that's going to go right down to the wire.
We'll be back with halftime stats in just a moment. Our score at halftime on the Star Mountain scoreboard in this Western Maine final for girls. It's York 19, Marshwood 18. One at halftime, 19-18. Eric Nelson with Bob Gould. And Bob, some very interesting halftime stats today.
Well, I guess we would say defense has been the key, because neither of these teams shooting very well. As you can see up on the screen in front of you, the Hawks have only made 4 shots in the first half of this game. They're 4 for 17, shooting at 23%. The Wildcats 8 for 28 at 28%. At the free throw line, the Marshwood has been there many more times. They are 10 for 16 at 63%. The Wildcats 3 for 6 at 50%. In the rebounding action, it is the Wildcats who have dominated. They have out-rebounded the Hawks 23-11. And in the turnover department, a little bit of a surprise there, as the Hawks with 8 and the Wildcats with 1 more with 9.
And all of those 6 free throws, by the way, for York in that first half, taken by Joanna Brown. The individual halftime statistics, with only a 19-18 score at halftime, not a lot of scoring in the first half. Joanna Brown leads the Wildcats with 5. Laura Coughlin, Andrea Little, and Jessica Martell all have 4. Lynn Eisner leads the Hawks with 5. Lori Hanscom with 4, including the layup at the buzzer to make it a one-point game. Diana Devlin, the point guard, has 3. Foul trouble, and this was a big key in the first half of action. As Bob mentioned, Marshwood outshot York from the line 16-6. Lynn Eisner with 3 fouls, Cindy Dale with 2, and 2 other players with 1 for Marshwood. For York, Rick Clark's going to have to do a masterful job of substituting in the second half, because Andrea Little, Laura Coughlin, and Jessica Martell all have 3 fouls, and Joanna Brown has 2. Very interesting first half of basketball.
Well, I think the foul situation, the fouls that troubled me in the first half are the fouls that were called that are what I would term incidental contact fouls. And a foul that doesn't disrupt the play is a foul that is an incidental foul and should not be called. And I thought there were a number of those that were called, and I think in that situation, I think it's tough for the kids. However, on the other side of it is I think York has to realize that if they're going to call every reach-in foul, and they're going to be calling it tight, that you as a team have to recognize that, and you have to make adjustments to that. And I don't think the Wildcats did that. So far in every game that we've seen up here, or at least the last 2 that we've seen up here for the girls, the first half has been called tight. The second half, they let them play. We'll have to see if that happens here tonight. If it does, then it should bode well for the Wildcats, because obviously the foul situation could come down to be a key in this game.
The Western Maine final for 1992. It's been a good one at halftime. The York Wildcats, the number 1 seed, leading the number 2 seed, Marshwood Hawks, 19-18.
Babies love being born.
In the Western Maine final, they have managed, unfortunately, only to win 1 time. That was in 1986 when they beat Messalonsky. Bob, of course, then went on and unfortunately lost to Holton, I believe, in the state game, which was covered here by NEC.
That's right. That was Stacy Suvrich and Diane Coughlin. Or was that Laura? Diane Coughlin. And that was an excellent team. One of the better teams, the York Wildcat teams to date. And they lost to just a superb Holton team. Probably one of the better teams the state's seen.
Both these teams rich in tradition. Marshwood back in the Western Maine final for the 2nd straight year. They won it last year.
Marshwood, man-to-man defensive pressure.
Brown draw the foul on Dale.
I think it's Eisner.
Well, we'll wait and see.
And if it is, isn't that number 4? Or am I wrong? Or is that 3?
It's 3 on Dale.
Well,
Foul is on number 22, Cindy Dale. Personal foul.
that's why I'm wearing glasses. You don't wear glasses.
And Joanna Brown will be taking her 7th and 8th free throws tonight.
But that is a big one. Obviously, Dale picking up her 3rd foul.
And Dale and Eisner, both with 3.
So, you know, it kind of equates things out. All the big people for both of these teams, all with 3 fouls. Except for Brown. Brown's the only one with 2. But all the other big people all have 3.
Brown misses the 2nd free throw. Jonna Weaver's there to follow it in.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I were either one of these teams right now, I would take the ball to the hoop, because if they're going to blow the whistle, and with all the foul trouble you got to expect that these girls don't want to foul. You got to get the ball down low.
4-point lead for York, 22 to 18.
That's right where Marshwood's going. They were looking to draw the foul right initially there.
And Brown didn't move. She held her ground.
Exactly.
Andrea Little bringing the ball up court past the timeline. And back out to Kristen Briggs.
And Hanscom didn't take it real strong either. She tried to take it into Brown, hoping to just draw the contact.
Back door to Coughlin. She traveled. No basket. So Laura's had 2 baskets taken away because of travel fouls.
At that time, she could have used a dribble to get herself in such position for the shot.
Starting 5 on the court for both of these teams. Briggs, Weaver, Little, Coughlin, and Brown for York. Stolen by Weaver.
Great steal by Weaver, anticipating the pass back through the middle. York's been using that little give and go the last few times through, and they've been able to get the ball into the down low near the basket.
Brown, the post-up move. It'll be York ball.
Coughlin was close to picking up number 4 right there, Eric. Be interesting to see how they do call him here the second half.
Devlin, Fontaine, Dale, Hanscom, and Eisner start the second half for Marshwood. Weaver, the top of the key of the loose ball to Briggs. 6.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Briggs behind the back, having trouble with it. Picks it back up. Blocked by Cindy Dale, gets it back. Little to her left, penetrating. Gets the rebound. Loose ball comes back to Briggs. Weaver, she misses. Try it again for 2.
And they're letting, I think they're going to let him play, Eric. If what I'm seeing is true right now, they're going to let him play. Because I think there was been some contact, and they've, I think they may realize that they may not have enough girls to finish this game out if they continue to blow the whistle the way they have.
York ties their biggest lead. It's 6, 24-18. 2 minutes into the second half. Here's Devlin near half court.
See Marshwood running their offense.
Try to spring Fontaine on the baseline. She penetrates and off the glass.
Nice shot. Use the glass anytime you can. They set that play up with a double stack down low on the left side. Just ran her off the double pick down low.
4 now for Christine Fontaine. Andrea Little working on Eisner. Tries to get free. Had the bounce pass. We get a jump, then it will go to Marshwood.
Well, Little got herself in a tough situation. She got herself down low, got herself trapped, had nowhere to go. Baseline and 2 defenders right there, and took herself right to the defense.
Devlin looks for help. Gets it to Dale. Andrea Little knocks it away.
As I said, they're going to let him play.
Yes, that. From what we've seen here in the first 3 minutes, it certainly appears that way.
Different game. And the kids, it's going to take them a couple minutes to all of a sudden realize it.
Fontaine for 3.
Well, she's come out and hit 5 big points for Marshwood.
It's a 1-point game. Marshwood with a quick 5 points. The lob to Coughlin. Back into Weaver. Knocked away. And then knocked out by Hanscom.
See, it's really a combination of the kids kind of backing off a little bit and the fact that they're letting him play, that we haven't had many fouls called here.
Briggs from the baseline.
Well, you can't let Kristen get that wide open on an out-of-bounds play. she's got any room to shoot, she's pretty tough.
4 now for Kristen Briggs. Andrea Little, the steal. Briggs misses. 3 on 1. Finally, Jonna Weaver puts it in.
Jonna Weaver.
Give Little the credit off the steal.
Tit for tat here. 5 straight for Marshwood, 4 straight for York. Eisner all alone.
Great pass, though, by Devlin. Devlin gets the assist there, and a nice job getting the ball to Eisner, who was all alone underneath the hoop. Eisner draws so much traffic, Eric.
We're seeing a lot of scoring here in the last couple of minutes. 28-25 York. 3.5 minutes left in the third quarter.
We talked about the ball being a magnet. Last game we played well. When Kristen Briggs and Diana Devlin have it in their hands, they draw a lot of traffic.
Laura Coughlin for 2 more.
Coughlin had gone cold there, but she seems to got it back on. That was a nice shot by her there.
She's got 6, the lead back to 5. Foul on Kristen Briggs, and you see the exasperated look of Rick Clark and John Carmichael on the sideline.
Again, that's one of those that, you know, can or couldn't be called an incidental contact because she never did lose possession of the ball.
We played almost 5 minutes. That's only the second foul of the second half.
Well, that's what I was saying. They've let them play. Different games, 2 different games, and that's something we've seen up here throughout the tournament. It's something as a coach you have to recognize.
Devlin, the strong move, and again the rebound by Brown.
And again, Brown knocks it off.
What can we've got to come up with a name for that because she uses that so well. The Brown throwaway or something.
Well, I'll work on it here.
You'll work on it, okay.
I've got nothing else to do. I don't have to do stats this half. That's a tough shot by Coughlin.
Almost got it. It was in and out. Loose ball picked up by Hanscom. Devlin at half court. Tough pass. Broken up. Here's Briggs. Got some numbers. Quick 3 on 2. Oh, what a pass for Weaver.
Oh.
Draws the foul.
She makes that shot. That's a game breaker right there. That's just a beautiful pass. I don't know how she saw her coming down that left lane. Jonna must have yelled at her or something. Either that or she's Bob Cousy reincarnated. Well, actually, Bob's not gone yet, is he? I shouldn't put Bob away yet.
First foul on Fontaine, the second on the team. 2:31 left in the third. We'll take a break with Weaver at the line and York leading by 5, 30-25.
Dave's IGA, York Village Shopping Center in York, has recently been renovated and expanded for your shopping convenience. Despite the many new additions and changes, one thing always remains the same at Dave's IGA: fast, friendly, dependable service.
With a great Western girls final 5-point lead with Jonna Weaver at the line, Bob.
And we just saw a tremendous play going into that break as Kristen Briggs leading the break, had nowhere to go on the right side, and coming out of the corner of her eye, she caught Jonna Weaver breaking to the hoop and made a picture-perfect pass, and Jonna Weaver came about that close to getting a shot at a 3-point play. That would have been a big one because that would have given them, of course, an 8-point lead, and the largest lead they've enjoyed in a long time.
Weaver at the line. She's averaged 6.5 points during the tournament and has 6 points here tonight, all in the third quarter.
What is the largest lead we've had of the evening, Eric? I know you keep track of that.
It's right there, 6 points for the 5th time for York. 31-25. Weaver traveled.
Good call. Good call. Get off on the wrong foot, that's all.
Well, you add up the traveling violations at 6 points that has been taken off for York.
But that's part of the game.
No, certainly is. They're just going to try to work hard to get it back. Fontaine, a good look to Devlin, the 2-on-1. Oh, the steal by Brown.
Great play by Joanna. 2-on-1. And Diana didn't know what to do with it, and if anything, she probably should have.
Oh, Andrea Little.
Great job by Andrea Little.
After a great defensive play by Sydney Dale on the block.
Right. If anything, she should have probably passed that ball down. You want to try to pass the ball over a much taller girl. That was last time down. And nice job by Little.
For York.
See, as time goes on now, all of a sudden these fouls are becoming less and less of a factor, Eric.
1:40 left in the third. The winner of this game to play in the state championship next week in Bangor.
Marshwood could use a hoop.
Eisner. Saved by Dale. No, it's not. Stepped on the line.
York making a nice run here. Of course, part of the fact is they've got everybody in there playing right now.
And they haven't picked up any additional fouls here in the second half. Only been one foul called against York, that against Kristen Briggs.
York showing some good patience. Very deliberate.
Brown off the glass.
She's tough when she gets that ball down low. She's great around the glass.
8 for Joanna Brown.
And that time she got the ball up at the block. She had a good angle to the basket and used the glass.
10-point York lead. Fontaine gets it to Devlin as the pressure is mounting. We're in close to a 10-second call. And we get it.
And they haven't got many turnovers tonight off from that pressure. But that was a big turn right there when York getting their biggest lead of the evening. The momentum definitely going in York's favor right now. And again, that pressure is even increases as your lead increases because it makes it tougher and tougher and you're afraid to throw the ball away. You get back on your heels.
Kathleen Byrne has come in for Laura Coughlin. Turnover. Here's Devlin. Dribbles past half court. And the dish to Hanscom. Missed the runner. And then a foul.
Tough one by Hanscom. She kind of got the ball at such a fast pace. She was going so quickly that she couldn't get herself under control. She was just, by the time she got the ball, she had to just quickly throw it up to the hoop. She maybe got it a step quicker, so she could have put it to the floor and got herself under control.
22 seconds remaining in the third quarter. York enjoying their biggest lead, 10 points. Briggs. Off of Kathleen Byrne. 10 seconds left. Ahead to Eisner, down to 4 seconds. Fontaine missing the three and the quarter ends. And York, a good quarter, outscores Marshwood 16-7 and opens up a 10-point lead after three on the Star Mountain scoreboard, 35-25. They've increased their impressive defensive strength, Bob. Now 8 of the 11 quarters have been in single digits defensively for York.
Well, two very good defensive teams, but to this point, York just a little bit tougher.
Jump ball to go to Marshwood.
John and we were looking for help, and she had help right behind her, but she didn't see it in Kristen Briggs. And that's just communication. You got to talk. One 3-1, half-court pressure. Look to trap in the corners and up on top.
Fontaine, the wide-open three. Short. Brown still going up ahead to Briggs. 2 more.
Well, I think Marshwood's starting to feel it slip away. They played well against the pressure early, but of late, they have not been able to handle the pressure. As York has made defensive changes, York has not been able to make the adjustment. York has put more pressure, add more pressure up court.
One minute gone in the fourth quarter. York really extending the defense, pushing Marshwood's offense far away from the basket. Eisner off her hands to Briggs. Briggs, the reverse, and a foul.
Yeah, we got a foul there. Christine Fontaine got a body into Briggs. And again, the big story, as Mike Lewis told us at the very beginning, the key was for his team to be able to recognize the defensive changes. And I think if you look back over this tape, if you get a chance to watch it again, notice how York changed their defensive pressure. They went from man-to-man early to zone, and then from zone from like a 2-1-1-1 where they had a free roamer who was floating back. They moved that floater up, and all of a sudden we started trapping up the court, but there were actually 3 people, and I don't think Marshwood was able to make the adjustment.
Kristen Briggs at the free throw line makes the first one to extend the lead to 13. Briggs has 7 points in the game, and remarkable consistency for Kristen scoring-wise, and she hits that one. Averaged 9.7 during the season, averaged 10 against Marshwood, has averaged 9 in the tournament.
Again, York's throwing pressure up court, 4 people. This time Marshwood breaks the pressure.
Katie Bryant, who just checked into the game, and Coughlin has come back in for York. See, they try to free Fontaine up for a 3. Devlin, nice drive. Coughlin the rebound. Briggs will run. Now she'll hold it up and use the clock.
Another thing that Marshwood was successful in doing early.
Oh, good dish. Devlin up to Fontaine.
Nice stutter step move. Nice move by Fontaine. That was a nice little move for the junior. She got Kristen Briggs stopped, and then she kind of made a little stutter step and then went right by a rocker step and took a right strong back to the hoop and picked up the foul. That's a nice little move, and especially by a junior. But another thing early that Marshwood was able to do in the first half, they weren't in the second half, was get the ball down low and get it inside. And they have not been able to do that here in the second half.
Little's 4th foul. She comes out for Joanna Brown. Receives a nice round of applause. Little with 6 points in the game. She's been York's leading scorer in the tournament, averaging 13 and a half. And Fontaine will shoot a pair of free throws. Fontaine, Bob, has scored 6 of Marshwood's 8 points in this half.
Well, and during the season, Fontaine was averaged 7 points a game, but she's had a very strong tournament for them. And
she's averaged 9 in the tournament and has 9 tonight. So the lead is back to 12, 39-27, with just under 6 minutes left in the game.
And she is only a junior, so that's positive for Coach Lewis.
And both these teams have some girls coming back. Coughlin's shot is long.
Kathleen Byrne gets her hand. Jessica Martell comes in.
Certainly the big thing, both these teams losing next year, their point guards. Dale missing from the baseline. Rebound to Kristen Briggs.
Marshwood has not shot well this evening. They don't have the season statistics, I don't believe. I will check and see if I can find them, but they have not shot well this evening at all.
Traveling violation. 5:19 left. York trying to win their first Western Maine title since 1986. And a foul on Kristen Briggs. That is her 3rd, and just the 3rd team foul this half against York. They're 4 against Marshwood.
Kristen says, but I was just standing here.
Kristen Briggs, personal foul number 3, team foul number 3.
Eisner way out near the 3-point line, over to Fontaine, back out to Devlin.
Both of these teams execute so well.
Dale, the wide open jumper, rebounded Weaver. And a foul on Devlin.
Those are the type of things that right now actually Marshwood has to do. They have to get themselves in a situation that they have to take some chances, some risk, and if they get a foul, then stay on the foul line and hope that they miss the shot.
Number 11, Diana Devlin, personal
And it's
foul
her 2nd and the team's 5th, so they have another foul to waste before you get into the bonus. But you're right, Bob. We've got under 5 minutes now. They'll have to start taking some chances down by 12.
Marshwood didn't come up here to not give it their best shot. They came here to win. Although they have had a successful season.
Martell forcing one, and Dale pulls down the rebound.
And that's what York doesn't, they have to be under control now. They don't need to hurry. When they've got the ball, then Marshwood can't score.
Devlin, stolen by Weaver.
Nice job by Weaver again. A couple times she's done that tonight, reading where the pass is going to come, the entry pass.
Briggs. Oh, Kristen Briggs.
How do you do? That one will get you on the all-tourney team, I think.
Wow, 10 for Briggs. And that was the best looking one of the 10.
Here's a girl that may not even play
Foul is on
basketball in college.
Jessica
Probably won't.
Personal foul number 4.
Too busy playing too many other sports. Although she may play basketball.
Fourth foul on Jessica Martell and the fourth on the team. So Martell and Little have 4 fouls. Little's on the bench.
Tough pass.
Devlin does a nice job in keeping it in the forecourt.
She's played very well here this evening.
Fontaine working on Briggs, the runner. Oh, nice rebound by Hanscom. Oh, good pass back to Fontaine, but they're not shooting well, Bob.
Oh, they're shooting terribly. If they had shot well, they'd still be in this game.
Fontaine short on the 3.
They're all around it. I have to tell you, that's where I was shooting prior to the game, and I didn't shoot well down there either. I think it's the basket.
Oh, it must be.
Although you didn't have too much trouble, did you?
Not too much. I actually like shooting here. Coughlin from outside, yeah.
Well, I think Laura likes shooting here also.
Laura Coughlin.
Lead up to 16 now. 43-27, just 3:15 left in this game. Another steal.
You can't make that pass. You just can't make that pass.
They don't have a lot of time to
Can't make that one either.
Martell through traffic. He makes a shot.
And that should just about do it. New York Wildcats. You mentioned they've been here 5 times. And only come away with 1.
That's right, 5 times in the last 7 years.
But it's a good win for these kids, especially with a little adversity coming in here the second half, foul trouble and everything else. They weathered the storm and really pulled together. And I'll tell you, they had to play some good basketball against this club because this is a very good team, this Marshwood Hawks team.
Eisner with the steal. 45-27, 2:15 left in the game.
Coach Lewis told us he thought either one of these teams, if either team won, that they would be certainly a very strong representative going to Bangor to play next Friday. He liked their chances, and frankly, quite frankly, so do I.
Of course, they
Fouls on number 21.
play the winner of the Eastern Maine Championship next week as John Weaver sits down with 7 points all in the third quarter, and Stacy Kennedy sees her first action.
Shooting 2, Diana Devlin.
Devlin. Making 1. Dale back out to Devlin off the rebound. And she draws another foul. That'll be 4 on Laura Coughlin.
Foul is on number 25, Laura Coughlin. Personal foul number 4.
The Eastern Maine final being played tonight up in Bangor. Number 3 MCI playing number 1 Ellsworth. So York will play one of those 2 teams next Friday at 7:05 at the Bangor Auditorium.
Diana Devlin.
And we won't be there to do that because MPBN, of course, has the rights, but we'll see what we can do about getting that game, a copy of that game, and try to get it re-aired. And
we also see for York now Melissa Stone, a 5'5" senior, number 14 into the game. Getting some action with 2:09 left.
only a 16 foul, though. Quite a difference in that first half, huh, Eric?
Very much so. We've seen almost half as many fouls.
Foul is on number 12, Tracy Knight.
First foul on Knight.
Foul number 1.
So both teams will be in the bonus after this.
Team
2:06
foul
left.
number 6.
The award ceremony, of course, coming up after this, and we will be. Will we or won't we? Will be. Of course, we will be taping this.
We'll be
the
here.
award ceremony.
And then we'll be here for part 2 of the
Yes.
New York Wildcats.
The amazing thing
Evening.
is Kennedy, the bounce to Brown.
Execution.
Brown.
I was just going to mention, this is the third time in 7 years that both York teams have played in the Western Maine final.
Right.
Devlin missing. They did it in 1990 when the girls lost and the boys won. In 86, the girls won and the boys lost. I mean, that's incredible to have both boys and girls team in the Western Maine final the same year, and they've done it 3 times since 1986.
Well, they've had a lot of tradition down at York. Had some great ball teams and some great coaches, and a lot of success. And as we've said, this is like a home away from home from them. And maybe this year, maybe this will be the year when both can make it up there. And
Coughlin sits down with 8. In comes Jessica O'Malley, a 5'7" senior, number 22, as Joanna Brown will shoot 1 and 1. Brown now leads all York scorers with 11. As Andrea Johansson, number 15, comes in for Kristen Briggs, who had herself 10 tonight.
Yeah, and a super game because she was playing against, again, one of the better point guards in the league, Diana Devlin. And a great ball game between two players who have played a lot of basketball games against each other, and I'm sure have a lot of mutual respect for each other.
Stone fighting hard for the rebound. Missed the tough shot. 48-29, York. Brown the steal. Johansson. And he felt the pressure and threw it away.
Coach Pratt calling, take the pressure off, girls.
This is the biggest lead York has had all game, 19 points.
Well, I really didn't think after that first half that we had that we'd see a game with a final score like this, but I don't think, again, it was really a situation where the score is truly indicative of the game that we saw, Eric. The Marshwood Hawks just went stone cold from the field. They had some good shot opportunities, but they couldn't get them to fall. And that time, it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Oh.
As Tracy Knight, the ball went through her legs.
Tried to pass it, knock it off her legs, as you mentioned, Eric, and she just kind of like opened them up, and there was a hole there, and a 5-hole was there, and the ball went through.
Little Brown pinball move or something. We haven't come up with a name for it. Didn't work that time. As Mike Lewis will go to the bench. Heather Schontag, number 3, a junior, is in, and Diana Devlin sits down with just 5 tonight, but a good job in running the show.
Absolutely. I'm sure she's a little disheartened right now, but I'll tell you what, this team doesn't get where they are right now without her effort. She's been a super player and a real treat to watch her play over the last few years. And I don't know what her plans are, but I would hope and think that she'd be playing basketball somewhere in the future, because she's certainly a great team player and just has been the glue to this team.
I don't know if that was a pass or not. As Shante tried to go to McCullough.
No, I think maybe Heather was trying to get 3 right there, but
Melissa Bradley in for Marshwood. 18 seconds left. Stacey Kennedy with the basketball. And a foul on Crosby. Stat of the night, Bob. Marshwood has made just 7 field goals in this game. 4 in the first half, 3 in the second.
Well, like I said, give a lot of credit to York, because they did a nice job at making Marshwood take outside shots, not high percentage shots. But by the same token, even on Marshwood's worst shooting night, which this I think probably was, you would expect them to shoot a little better than they did. And they just went stone cold.
Stacey Kennedy gets herself in the scorebook here in the Western Maine Championship. Misses the second. Stone. And a jump. It'll be York's with 9 seconds left. 20-point York lead.
Sending up play, trying to get Melissa Stone the score, I believe. You'll watch this. Here she comes.
Comes off the pick.
Trying to get her the ball, but she couldn't get it.
And go to Kennedy. Another jump ball. Go to Marshwood. 7 seconds left. York will cut down the nets after this. We'll have the presentation of the Western Maine Trophy. And the announcement of the most valuable player. And that's it. York wins the Western Maine Championship 49-29.
Just a happy bunch of young girls down there. We mentioned the chemistry. We mentioned the fact that there's a team that were picked to do it all, but it's not as easy as people may think it is. Yes, they had the horses, but unless they want to play together as a team, sometimes having all the talent in the world can be one of the toughest things to coach. But this unit, very unselfish, played extremely well together, and they're celebrating together, and they realize that everybody was important in the win, and just a great win for these girls. You got to feel happy for them, and Coach Clark, as you mentioned, just a great season, only one loss. And
of course, next week they will play the winner of the MCI Ellsworth game, the Eastern Maine champ, for the state championship next Friday, 7:05 in the Bangor Auditorium. The game will be covered by WABI, and we'll, of course, try to get rights to that, as we mentioned, as the York girls continue to celebrate at half court. Let's go over the scoring summary very quickly for you. For Marshwood, they were led by Christine Fontaine's 9, Lynn Eisner had 7, Diana Devlin with 5, Lori Hanscom with 4, and Cindy Dale and Katie Bryant with 2 for York. Joanna Brown had 11, Kristen Briggs had 10, Laura Coughlin with 8, Jonna Weaver with 7, Andrea Little and Jessica Martell with 6, and Stacy Kennedy with 1. So the Wildcats post a 10-point win in the second Western Maine championship for Rick Clark.
And the kids that you're really the happiest for are the kids, and there's one of them right there, the seniors. The group that's been together and played over the past few years and worked so hard. This is their final chance. And you've got the seniors, of course, right there, as you mentioned, Laura Coughlin, Stacy Kennedy, Melanie Griffin, Jessica O'Malley, Melissa Stone, and Kristen Briggs.
And there it is. It's official.
Those are the girls that you're the happiest for, because it's something that they will never, ever forget. It's really the culmination of their high school careers. It's something that nobody can ever take away from you.
Certainly continues a strong tradition. Some of these girls, by the way, have won softball state championships, have won soccer state championships. Now they add a regional championship in basketball, as Kristen Briggs will have the honor in cutting down this net.
Well, this team certainly knows how to celebrate. Yeah. They've had a lot of experience at it.
Like Rick Clark told us, this is a fun group. They met for pizza the night before the final here and watched the semifinal game on TV, and a very together group, and like to have their fun, and they're certainly having it now.
Well, that's what we talked about. We talked about how important chemistry is, and this group obviously has a lot of chemistry. No one star, a lot of stars.
Now you look at the scoring averages of this team during the season, and you're right, there isn't really the starting 5, all very even scoring, and they got great contributions from the bench when they needed it during the year when injuries hit. And just a fantastic job as York wins their 20th game of the season, Bob. They are 20-1 and are just the second #1 seed in 5 years to win Western Maine, following in Marshwood's footsteps last year.
Well, the big one's still ahead of them. I know they want to enjoy this one, and they get some time to enjoy it. But the one thing that Rick Clark still doesn't have is that state championship. And I know that we've talked to him about which team is your best team and which, you know, and he hasn't said a heck of a lot about it, but this is the second group that he'll have that will go to the state championship with a chance. So who knows? Let's go down to the court and
yes, Peter James, the chairman of the tournament committee for classes B, C, and D, down at half court for the celebrations and award presentations.
I would ask Marshwood's coach, Mr. Mike Lewis, and his assistant, Mike Little, to come forward and present the individual medals to the managers and players. Miko Ishigama. And Michelle Tuttle. Marshwood's team personnel. Junior, Heather Schontag. Junior, Candy Louvier. A senior, Kristen McMullen. Junior, Jennifer Fontaine. Senior, Tracy Knight. Senior, Katie Bryant. A junior, Christine Fontaine. Junior, Hillary Crosby. Senior, Lori Hanscom. Senior, Cindy Dale. Sophomore, Tammy Darnell. Junior, Melissa Bradley. And the Marshwood High School team captains, senior, Lynn Eisner. Senior, Diana Devlin. The Maine Secondary School principals present to Marshwood High School this plaque symbolic of the girls basketball Western Regional Class B runners-up for 1992. Congratulations. The Western Maine Class B girls team for 1992, the York High School Wildcats. With their coach Rick Clark and his assistant John Carmichael, please come forward, present the individual medals. York's team managers, senior Jessica Locke. Senior Monica Patton. And junior Emily McIntosh. York's team personnel, sophomore Lindsay Plaisted. Sophomore Molly McDonald. Junior Andrea Johansson. Senior Melissa Stone. Senior Melanie Griffin. Senior Jessica O'Malley. Senior Stacy Kennedy. Junior Kathleen Byrne. Sophomore Jessica Martell. Sophomore Joanna Brown. Sophomore Andrea Little. Junior Jonna Weaver. And the York High School team captains, senior Laura Coughlin and senior Kristen Briggs. Would the coaching captains please come forward? The Maine Secondary School principals present this plaque to York High School, symbolic of the Western Maine Class B Girls Champion for 1992. Each year, the Western Maine Board of Approved Basketball officials selects a boy and a girl in each of the Western Maine tournament classifications to receive an award. The award is based on both individual and team-oriented skills throughout the 3 rounds of play. But also, and more importantly, it requires exemplary sportsmanship on the part of the recipient. In girls Class B, the award is named for Mike Dorenzo, one of the most respected officials in Western Maine basketball history, and also with us here tonight in Section 3. For many years, Mike Dorenzo was a highly successful basketball coach at Rockland High School, guiding many teams into the Eastern Class A tournament. After moving to Auburn, Mr. Dorenzo became a guidance counselor at Edward Little High School, as well as an official. Upon his retirement from education, he became the commissioner of basketball for the state of Maine from 1979 until 1990. The Western Maine Board of Basketball officials and presenter Ken Casey are proud to present the 1992 Mike Dorenzo Award to Kristen Briggs of York High School. We wish York well as they travel to the Bangor Auditorium next Friday night to participate in the state Class B championship. Good luck, and the wishes of all of Western Maine go with you.
Congratulations to the York Wildcats. They have done it. 1992 Western Maine champions, and Kristen Briggs announced as the Mike Dorenzo Award winner for this tournament. She was certainly very deserving of that, as she played extremely well, Bob, and so did the team in winning the honor of being Western Maine representatives in the state title game next week.
I'm sure Kristen's very pleased with the award that she got, individual award, but it doesn't even hold a candle to the team award. That's the one that's most important, and she certainly makes this team go. She's the one that brings them together, and really, she's a great leader, whatever sport she's in, but this was just truly a team effort. Some individuals that really know their roles. I'll tell you, Andrea Little, Joanna Brown, Jonna Weaver, Laura Coughlin, Jessica Martell. They're not here without her effort. And they're just a great effort, and by the whole team here tonight, and they truly are an outstanding team. They rose to every occasion. Whenever things seem to get tough, they would get a little tougher, as the saying goes. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Well, certainly the York Wildcats proved that the motto, and congratulations to a great team and a great organization. And now I guess the boys will try to follow that act, a tough act to follow, but certainly you can't take anything away from what's happened here tonight so far. It's certainly been exciting and a great season to this point for the York Wildcats.
And congratulations also to Mike Lewis and the Marshwood Hawks, who finished the season at 18-3. A great season for them as they make it to the Western Maine final for the second straight year. York is now at 20-1. They head on to the state final next week in Bangor. The York boys, coming up in just a couple of minutes, have a chance to set history in Class B. No school has had a boys and girls representative in the state final in the same year. That's going to wrap up our coverage from here. The York girls defeat the Marshwood Hawks 49-29 in the Western Maine final. For Steve Twombly and Bob Gould, I'm Eric Nelson. Have a great night.